I'm gonna be doing this live, but also recording it and saving it for later. I noticed whenever anyone tried to load the workspace, I saved and shared. Mac users specifically were having issues with it, so I figured I'd just walk the example through manually. This is a fresh login to a fresh install of a paper trading account. I'm going to go ahead and reset the workspace, and it should look like this. There are links in the previous YouTube video I shared, which should now be updated, and from those you can download. There's 5 scripts. One of them is the cyclical smooth RSI, the other one is the super trend script, the intra VWAP 6 scripts, volume buy sells, the buy sell accumulation, and the auto support resistance lines. I'm going to manually install these right now on the account and do that walkthrough, because this is what's going to be required if you're not able to get the workspace working just by loading it. You can obviously name them whatever you'd like, but I sometimes shorten the name because if not, I have issues finding it later. Once you have all these scripts imported, you should be able to try importing the workspace again, and it should work without a hitch. I'm going to go ahead and import it and then load it. And if we notice, it's not exactly as seen in some of my videos when I load it, so I'm going to do the manual setting up over here. Now that we've imported the script, it should show up on the list to allow. And there we go on this one. These are fine. I do need to add the we did volume buy sells, and what I do is I stack them both on the volume. I just find that it's easier visually. And then moving on, these are already built-in scripts. They should function no problem. The next manual or the custom script should be the intra VWAP. And there we go. I'll go over how I interpret the data on this in just a bit. I'm going to go ahead and finish loading the rest of the setup. This is the one for the single chart. And on this one, I have the super trend script, the auto support resistance, the volume profiles, and again the volume buy sell and the accumulation of buy sells. Then I also add the customs, the cyclical RSI. Sometimes it gets a little laggy depending on your system and how big of a chart or how much data is being loaded, but once it's loaded, this is what it looks like. And whenever you do zoom in or zoom out, it will also, it may have to redraw the lines, so do give it time to update. Moving on, I then have whatever the flexible chart may be, and this one's much simpler, and I believe it's already loaded in the workspace. Yes, it's just the two moving averages, and the only things that are missing are the volume ones again. And I add the volume one to all of them, but in this example, I'm not gonna do it for every single one. It's just, sometimes it can be too cluttered, I find, depending on what your screen size may be. So, might be easier to just figure out what's good for you. Now that we have our workspace loaded, sometimes I'm going to talk about how I use this for trading. I generally use my macro chart or the big chart for doing my investigation of finding out what levels a certain stock or security might be traded at, how it's been affected in the past, what the volume looks like, things like of that nature. Obviously, the time slice will affect all of that. If you're looking to scalp pennies, well, I'm assuming 1 minute, 1 day is great for you. If not, go to the ATS and do that as well. It's built for that. Now, if you notice, this sometimes may look like noise currently if you zoom out, but during the trading day, because of how fast the information is flying, everything will be lining up all at once. So what will happen is this data will be being updated real time, and sometimes that can help you because you'll see these large spikes in volume. Meanwhile, if you zoom out, that's insignificant compared to this spike in volume. So you do get a good view in the moment, is what I would call it. That's why I constantly trade here, because if you're putting in a limit, you know, it's live. It'll adjust, and you can even slide it over here, well, depending on your broker software. Using ThinkorSwim, for example, I like the active trading window because it's fast. The base trend or the super trend I use down here in the bottom, whenever you use a different type of time slice, it's going to give you different type of information, because, for example, the bigger the slice, the more macro the view of that stock per se. And that may be okay if you have a long out-term outlook on a stock that you plan on holding for very long. That's fine. But sometimes if you want data as to what's happening in intraday, then you'd probably want to go look at the everyday, smaller time slice. And this would also be better for like scalping or swinging or day trading. Obviously, always back any indicator, any data you have with your due diligence. Don't just go into any trade blindly ever. Obviously, this isn't financial advice and shouldn't be taken as any. Going out on the macro chart, again, the auto resistance is trying to be drawn for you so that you get an idea of what channel you're trading in. I personally like drawing my own channels on TradingView, but this is helpful for learning the ropes, if you will, or maybe if you're a newer trader and you're still not adjusted to these things. On the right, you have your volume shelves in order to understand where you have support or where you don't anymore. Basically where it thins out and people aren't participating, the liquidity is drying up. The indicator down here is trying to get information and give you from the broker software and give you information as far as inferring buys and sells and as far as volume goes. And then these lines are trying to show you the overall trend. Is it mostly buying, selling, and how tightly traded it might be at the current given time. The cyclical RSI, again, I'm not going to dare to try to explain it. It's very complex. You can go to the original person that wrote its website on TradingView, and I'll link an example, or I'll give you the actual script example and link to their website below. And he goes into very intricate detail as to what this does. But to me, the summary version of it is always going to be, it's like RSI, but it's alive. It will adapt depending on what's going on in the market. And I feel it's a little bit more dynamic. And sometimes it can give very accurate information in all the time frames. For example, here it's falling out of channel on this, and well, it's accurately depicting what was going to happen in a stock. Obviously, do paper trade, do experiment with it on your own before you, again, never go in blindly. These tools are meant to hopefully help make things a little bit clearer, but if they don't and it causes more noise for you, then definitely don't use them. Do whatever works for you. Not everyone's trading style is going to be the same. That being said, I will be releasing a future example as well, which is going to be on capturing a little bit of the trade, a little bit in more intricate details. For example, I like using Ninja Broker for that. I'm going to be putting out an example. This is a playback. This is not live trading right now, but just to show you an example. Aside from that, again, I'm gonna open up the TradingView. It's this one down here below, and you can find the indicator. It's RSI. Here we are. Check them out. WhenToTrade. Great script. You can read about it here. Here we go. It's live now. So this is market playback of, I was recording TLT at the time. It's a bond ETF, 20-year. And I was interested in watching the trading live, if you will. And to most of you that are maybe newer to trading, you're used to seeing candles. Yahoo Finance, Robinhood, Webull, wherever it may be. This is what's going on. I'll speed it up a little bit. Obviously, depending on how liquid and how much of the trading is going on, it's going to be different. Some stocks may not move for quite a while, and other ones move faster because there's a lot of trading in that stock. Tesla, SPY, for example. But the reason I wanted to bring this up is depending on what's going on at that given moment, this is the trades. Again, what you might see in the ATS is now showing up here. How many shares are traded at what price? Sold, offered. So sometimes it's a more intricate, fine detailed view of the market, if you will. That being said, there's sometimes more data here that you can use to interpret, and it might help your trades. This type of information might be more up your alley, so I'll definitely be releasing a tutorial on this as well. If there's ever any feedback or any more further issues with the setup that I shared, and any more troubleshooting needed, let me know in the comments on Twitter, YouTube. Well, Twitter would be the best way to get a hold of me. I hope this fixes the issues for anybody that was having issues, or Mac users, or whoever it may be that was having issues, whatever platform it may be. I'll be sharing more scripts in the future, and I hope to always be changing up the way I handle the data and trade better. I hope the same could be said for everyone else. I hope you learn from this. I think I'm going to call it for now. Have a good night. I'm going to leave the recording up in case, again, it helps anyone troubleshoot.